At it.
Hey, Miguel Dorati back here on the CRP, and we are going to do a boxing wage rage. I'm joined by teammate Anthony Scott Pyatt, and we're going to focus on the O2 Arena and Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum getting together to produce a big card in London this Saturday, August 31st. And 5 of the fights are getting love at the sport books already. And I see that you couldn't decide you're going to do all 5, huh, Anthony?
You know, we usually do 3, maybe 4 if there's a real good extra one or sort of a dog watch or dog pick underneath. But that was kind of the case here. I mean, I have a couple that I just think we have to mention because guys like Buatsi are very good, and then there's another one that was sort of a headlining fight. But we had a couple of dog watches underneath, so we couldn't skip those. And we got to talk about Lomachenko, my man. I think he's pound for pound in the game. Kind of got Chad back into boxing, and he's been my guy for a long time on this. So I'm gonna of course. Well, you won't be too surprised at what I call for Lomachenko, but decision, knockout. We'll leave that to be. Stick around, folks. But this is the fight to watch this coming weekend on ESPN Plus here in America, and I think Skynet. You said, Miguel. In other parts of the world and in England.
It's on pay-per-view in England. They're going to go on Sky Box Office. So
okay,
Lomachenko getting his position there with the fans. They're going to pop him some money to see it. But
there you go.
Lomachenko is the big story, obviously. With Vasiliy Lomachenko, you're talking about 13-1. In this fight, he's entering with his WBA and WBO world title. Interesting, the vacant WBC world title is on there. So Lomachenko, at the end of the day, looking to add a 3rd world title to his resume. And these are all at 135 pounds. Luke Campbell providing the opposition, 20-2. On paper, they're both gold medalists. And Luke Campbell, won his gold medal in England. He's gone 20-2 in his career. He's lost a couple of fights. Ivan Mendy was the first fight he lost, and he was able to beat Mendy recently to avenge that loss. And his other loss, more importantly, I think, comes to Jorge Linares. Linares, a high-skill fighter that was able to outpoint Campbell, in England kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken. Was that fight? I'll just double-check myself.
I got you here, too. Yeah,
but,
go for it.
I just want to make sure that when he fought Linares, no, I thought it wasn't the form in Inglewood. So the English aspect may be to his advantage. But I consider Linares a guy that tested Lomachenko when they fought, and a guy who was, maybe a little bit closer to Lomachenko. His win over Campbell is meaningful to me. I don't know if Campbell's done enough to close that gap.
That's absolutely right. That's how I'm seeing this. I mean, Campbell is that sort of long arm, but he's lanky, and he's not all that fast. He throws too many air balls. If you look at the fight against Linares would come in and bump him around, and to sort of try and create some space, Campbell would throw these looping wide hooks that were shoulder projection, a lot of problems with it. Linares was easily moving out of the way and then hitting again. He does cover his head fairly well, but that's a problem because it opens you up to Lomachenko's body work. And let's not forget, Lomachenko knocked out Jorge Linares in the 10th round after he tore his labrum on his dominant right hand in the 2nd round. So, to knock him out then with the left, Linares being a much bigger guy. So I think that is sort of a problem for Campbell going into this one as far as telling. Loma, I think, will chop at Campbell's body, bring him down like a wilting tree. Oh. So Lomachenko by knockout. I'm pretty positive on this one. And that's not to take away from Luke Campbell being an Olympian and whatnot. But I just seen what he done against your Jorge Linares, and Lomachenko sort of has the recipe to take advantage of that, I believe.
And Vasiliy Lomachenko minus 1,700, Campbell plus 1,100. Are you holding off on the money on this one? Or
yeah, there's no bet on this one. I mean, we didn't have an over-under on the rounds. I could have got into that a little bit. And I'm not actually picking
during the week. Yeah.
It could take him a little while to do it, as it did with Linares.
Yep. I'll mention it here in terms of Luke Campbell. He's definitely a solid and hard competitor. The only thing I want to caution, and it comes after Anthony Joshua's loss, and I don't want to, pin everything on Anthony Joshua and that loss or read into it more than anybody else, already has. But you can focus back on the London Olympics, and the fact is that the British boxers had a terrific Olympics, and that was the Olympics where guys on the United States end, like Errol Spence Jr., came back with no Olympic gold or no Olympic medal at all. But there may be, we know fighting in England is very difficult, and there may be an advantage that occurred on that British, for that there may have been the right point in time in London that year in 2012 where a lot of British fighters fought gold medal, in the Olympics and won gold medals. And then when they translate to the pro, Campbell stumbled early in his career against Mendy when it wasn't expected. And the bottom line is that, just having an Olympic gold medal doesn't mean he's of the same pedigree as Lomachenko. And I think that's what you'll see here is that the difference in skill is going to be ample. Heading down the card, there's an interesting heavyweight fight. This was much more competitive at the books. You've got veteran Alexander Povetkin. He's returning. He was in England for his last fight. He lost to Anthony Joshua, was stopped in the 10th round. But Povetkin, he's another guy who's got an Olympic gold medal in his back pocket. Now he's 40 years old, but he comes with a lot of pedigree. And at the end of the day, his losses come to Joshua while Joshua was riding high, and to Vladimir Klitschko in an earlier bid for a world title. So Povetkin is pretty much still a top 5 heavyweight in most books, certainly a top 10 heavyweight here. And he's facing Hughie Fury. Fury, has also been a guy that unfortunately has stumbled on his way up in the career here, and he finds himself at 23-2 in his overall record right now. And, within that are losses to Joseph Parker and Kubrat Pulev. Both of them are considered contenders and rated in the top 10, so he's failed to break through. And here he's taking another shot at getting breaking through with Povetkin. Povetkin may actually be the best boxer of the lot of the, when you mention Pulev and Parker here. So it's an interesting fight. And Fury, despite finding himself at home, is an underdog at plus 135 with Alexander Povetkin returning at 165. How do you see this one, ASP?
I think you're right on this. Quick shout out to my beautiful girl, Ashley. Got to get her to the airport soon. So we're going to make these next few quick, but I did not want to miss this Loma fight and this great card. So I'm going to continue and plow through with Povetkin. I really think he did fight Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. He's fought better folks. He's been knocked out once by Anthony Joshua. So I think on paper he's definitely better than Hughie. He throws short hooks, uppercuts. That's the key to this fight. If he lands those uppercuts and those hooks, he wins. If Hughie can tire Povetkin out with some defense and some return fire, it's anyone's fight. Hughie's never been knocked out, and Povetkin has. Maybe if you're in Hughie's corner, that's something you're hoping that you can take advantage of. It's going to be a tough fight. Povetkin by decision. I will say a slight dog watch. If you can get Fury at 150 or better, I'd take him on that.
And moving right along here, we've got lightweight action booked at 12 rounds. Joe Cordina, a big favorite at minus 4,000 over Gavin Gwynne. Gwynne plus 1,600. Anything on Gwynne's resume that makes you pause there? How do you see this one?
Yeah, this is a rough one right here. Gavin Gwynne, he's 11-0. He's only got one knockout in that. And he couldn't knock out guys. 9 of 11 fights have been in the UK on a point system, including the win against Franz Alexander, who's 5-65, and Abrir Riaz, who is, get this, 5 wins, 118 losses, and 4 draws. So only one of his opponents has ever had a winning record. It was Myron Mills, who was 12-0, and he beat him by decision. So Gavin's resume is suspect. Joe Cordina has had 5 opponents with winning records. He fights in the UK, but on bigger cards and with the actual judges instead of the point system. Cordina, I believe, KO.
Very interesting. And that as an all-British fight, we'll have, British type of rivalry things around it. And, of course, the BBBFC's British title at lightweight is on the line. Heading into the card, another fight with similar odds on this one. It comes to us in the light heavyweight division, 175 pounds. Joshua Buatsi, a huge favorite, minus 5,000 as he faces Brian Ford. Ford kicking back at plus 2,000. How do you see this one?
I mean, this is going to be an exciting fight to watch, not because of the matchup necessarily, but because Buatsi is a fun guy to watch do his craft. So I wanted to go ahead and call this one too. Ryan Ford hasn't fought guys with a great KO percentage. So, he's lost 4 times and hasn't been knocked out, but he's really not fighting guys that are 11-0 with 9 knockouts. So his only non-knockouts for Buatsi is really these early 4-round fights in the UK that are decided by points. I do expect a KO here. He's so good because this guy, he's a boxer, and he's a really good boxer, but then he knows when to turn it on and be a fighter. And his jab is hard to even call a jab. I mean, it's straight, it's quick, it's powerful, has a lot of momentum. He uses his back leg. He kind of, invokes the earth, if you will, and hits you through his legs, even with the jab. So if he can and he also does this thing where Lomachenko puts a glove on you and kind of keeps it in your face, and then here comes the other hand. And so it's not always a good tactic if you're against a defensive guy that can move his feet or that's not tired, but he knows when to do that. So I think he'll take advantage of that and put on quite a show for us. And I believe Ryan Ford will be knocked out for the first time in his career by Joshua Buatsi.
And Buatsi, as you stated, 11-0 heading into this one. The WBA's international title at 175 pounds is on the line here. Buatsi moving quickly up the ladder now. The last match we're going to look at comes to us in the flyweight division. This is exciting. This is another world title fight at 115 pounds, and Charlie Edwards defending his belt. He's 15-1, and he's really, you use the word craft. For the people that enjoy the craft, Charlie Edwards at 115 pounds is a guy that will show you entertainment. I find him to be a guy that doesn't, in England, there's not a lot of competition at that level, so now he's branching out a little bit, and we'll really see, but he's been a guy that has been putting in the work at that weight. His opposition is Julio Cesar Martinez Aguilar, who comes in with a 14-1 record, so he actually has one more fight, Edwards does. And, out of Mexico, those guys are all battle-tested and probably have more fights on their record here. But at 24 years old, he'll be on the road basically for the first time in his career, and that's a long, tall trip. And Charlie Edwards, not exactly an easy fare on the other side of the ring. How do you see this one before we sign off?
That's right. No, this is going to be, I think, could be an interesting fight. Charlie's great, and I believe my prediction, just to get to it, is Edwards by decision. But Edwards, only half of his opponents have had winning records, and his loss was to John Riel Casimero by a knockout. Now, John Riel Casimero is a Filipino, but he fights with that Mexican style. So that brings us to Julio Cesar Martinez Aguilar. First 6 opponents for him were actually undefeated, and he lost his debut by a split decision in like a 4-rounder split decision. So the loss is really negligible. Yes, he hasn't been tested, but this is where a lot of our dog watches are really fun. He hasn't been tested enough to prove to us that he's good or bad. So then you can take that plus 260 that the bookies are giving us on that and say, I'm going to look at that as a dog watch because he has the same style that has beat Charlie Edwards before. It's in England. That doesn't bode well for him. But Charlie has a bad night. Aguilar has a good one. Your 100 becomes 360. Aguilar for the dog watch at plus 260. Official prediction, Edwards by decision.
Yep, and at the end of the day, Aguilar does come to us with the 14 wins, 11 knockouts. So, he does seem to have enough pop to be a threat on paper.
Absolutely. It's a good card. That's what I'm trying to get across to people. This is going to be a great card. We're hoping this gets to a lot of folks because we're doing it early in the week, and we appreciate letting us sort of speed through these last four and hanging with us, subscribing and whatnot. Share this one. Enjoy the fights, though. These are going to be great, all leading up to Lomachenko, high tech. You know what I mean? Matrix.
Yep, Eddie Hearn, top-ranked boxing, getting together. 2 world title fights at the top of the card. They deliver a heavyweight fight of contenders as well. Definitely the card to watch this weekend at London's O2 Arena. London means early in the day, and it's ESPN Plus, so check your local listings. ESPN Plus, if I'm not mistaken, will also be airing the UFC from China. So Saturday, a big fight day early. Check your local listings for all of that. Keep your eyes out on ASP's picks. Always makes it more fun to watch the fights. Any final words?
No, brother. I appreciate your time on this one. I'm off to the airport. Thanks for everybody for watching Wage Rage and Cage Rage podcast. It's been fun, Miguel. Always is.
And we have found here that the next final word is namaste.